Let's move on to main topic number 4. And our final main topic today gets submitted to us by Rick Bizzaro, who writes, "Hey, John, I'm a huge fan of the show. Thank you so much, man. It's been getting me through quarantine every day." Well, thanks so much. Doing the show's been helping us get through quarantine too, Rick. I appreciate that, man. Did you see what Robert Pattinson recently said in a GQ interview regarding to shaping up to become the Batman? He doesn't seem all that committed to bulking up, even stating that if you're working out all the time, you're part of the problem. Does this change your excitement for the movie at all? All right. Thanks a lot for sending that in, man. Appreciate that. And yes, Robert Pattinson recently did an interview in GQ. By the way, I'm a big fan of these big in-depth outlet interviews, like when the Vanity Fair long feature pieces stuff. I'm a big fan of those, and GQ does some really, really good ones. Anyway, they just did one with Robert Pattinson and talks about a bunch about Tenet, about him dealing with quarantine and all that. It goes into a lot of different things. Now, let me say something off the top here. Before we get into, we're going to start off with this quote, but before we do that, let me get off the top here. For those of you who may not be regulars here on the show, there's a couple things you need to know. Number one, I am a big Robert Pattinson fan. I have been, Rob, I don't know if it's too much exaggeration to say I may have been the biggest cheerleader when they announced that Robert Pattinson was going to be Batman. I've been all for it. I love the idea of him being Batman. And when people would want to argue with me and say, oh, he can't do this and he can't do that, I say, you know what? You clearly haven't seen High Life. You clearly haven't seen Rover. You clearly haven't seen Good Time. You clearly haven't seen The Lighthouse. Because if all you're fixated on with Robert Pattinson is what he did in Twilight, then you don't know what Robert Pattinson is capable of. He has become a fantastic actor that high-profile directors want to line up and work with, and I have been waving the Rob Pats, or what do they call them, R-Bats, or whatever they call them. I've been waving that R-Bats flag and happy about this ever since they announced it. So I've been 100% more than a big cheerleader for this idea of Robert Pattinson. Thing you need to understand, number 2, I don't think that Batman has to be, or the actor who's playing Batman has to be 6'4", 280 pounds. I don't think they have to be that. You know, I don't think, look at Michael Keaton. Even look at Christian Bale, who clearly got himself in great shape for it. But that wasn't anywhere near the comic book iteration of Batman. I don't believe an actor has to be 280 pounds of big, huge, solid, rock hard muscle, right? So I think Robert Pattinson is a fantastic choice for the role. I think he's an extremely talented actor. And I don't think necessarily that the character has to be 260 pound chiseled, right? That's not what I think. You have to understand that. To understand why I, as a supporter of Robert Pattinson, as somebody who has been a cheerleader for Robert Pattinson being cast as Batman, and as a fan of the Batman character, that I've taken some serious issue with something in this GQ article. Let's get to the GQ article and then let's break down what was said. It was said, this was from the GQ article. The film studios hired a trainer. Not to mention they also paid for nutritionists and all this kind of stuff. The studio got Robert Pattinson a trainer. The film studio hired a trainer who left Pattinson with a Bosu ball and single weight and a sincere plea to use both during the pandemic, during the lockdown, while he's not doing anything else except sitting at home. But right now, he says, he's ignoring her. I think if you're working out all the time, you're part of the problem, he says, sighing. And by you, he means other actors. You set a precedent. No one was doing this in the 70s. Even James Dean, he wasn't exactly ripped. Pattinson called another Zoe Kravitz the other day, who's playing Catwoman in the movie. And she said she has been exercising 5 days a week. Pattinson, well, literally, I'm just barely doing anything, he says, again sighing. Now, the GQ writer of the article goes on to point out when he brings up the point about, hey, James Dean wasn't ripped. James Dean wasn't playing Batman. James Dean wasn't playing Batman. It should also be noted here that nobody is ever saying that every role. Rob, you and I were just talking about Russell Crowe. He looks like he's enjoying some pie. Russell Crowe, who is my favorite actor in the world, but he looks like he's been enjoying some cake and some pie, right? Nobody's saying every actor in every movie has to be big and ripped and nobody's saying that. And James Dean never had to play Batman. But Rob, we live in an era now in the golden age of comic book movies where we have these titans, these characters that are titans, they're gods. You know, in the mythological realm of our pop culture, these are Thors and Hulks and Captain Americas and Superman and Batman. And Rob, here's where I take umbrage with what Robert Pattinson was saying. This is where I get upset, and this is where this bothers me. When I was cheering for Robert Pattinson becoming Batman, I never thought for a second that he's probably a good 160, 165. He probably tilts in at a good 160, 165. I never thought for a moment that he was going to take some magical horse steroids and suddenly become this gigantic, ripped, 265-pound monster. I never for once expected that. I never for once thought that. I never for once put that onus on him that he had to become that. Never once. Never once. He was never going to become that, and that's totally fine. Rob, the only thing I want from the actor who's going to be playing Batman, an actor who is getting a role that tens of thousands of other actors would kill for and do anything for. A character that is a titan in our pop cultural consciousness. The Batman character is almost as recognizable as a portrait of Jesus somewhere around the world. Batman is an important character to the studio. A studio who has entrusted this iconic character to you and a fandom that the studio and you are asking to get on board with. And I'm one of them. I'm on board. Rob, the only thing I ask of an actor who is blessed and privileged and anointed with this iconic role, this trust, the only thing I ask is give me, as an audience member, your best effort. That's all I ask. Take the role and say, you know what? I'm never going to be 260 pounds bodybuilder, but I'm going to give you my best effort. That's all I ask. That's all I ask. Honor the studio that hired you by saying, you know what? I'm going to give you my best. And my best, because here's the thing, Rob, if Robert Pattinson committed to a workout regime and the best he could do is give us like a 190-pound Batman, like a solid 190, that's all I ask because you tried. Just honor the fandom, honor the fans of this by saying, I'm going to give you my best effort. Because guess what, Rob? Picking up some weights when you're locked up at home and you have nothing else to do anyway, all that is a question of effort. That's all it is. It's a question of commitment and effort, nothing else. Robert Pattinson has all the talent in the world. He has all the talent in the world. Do you know why Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill, who are way older than Robert Pattinson, why they got nutritionists and started workout routines and did all that kind of stuff when they knew they were going to be in Star Wars The Force Awakens? They didn't have to. What are they going to do? Cast somebody else to play Princess Leia while Carrie Fisher is still here? Of course not. They didn't have to. But as Carrie Fisher said, she owed it to the fans. She owed it to the character to get herself in shape. And at her age, what she did to get herself into the shape that she did for that role, it showed an amazing commitment to the character, to the studio, and it showed an amazing commitment to the fans. Rob, you know, I'm not a big fan of Gal Gadot. I'm not a big fan of Gal Gadot. I don't think she's a particularly super talented actress. You know, and that's fine. I don't think she's the worst actress in Hollywood. But, you know, I just being honest, it's my subjective opinion. But, you know, back in 2013, or around that time, when they were talking about her being one of the finalists for the Wonder Woman role, one of the concerns, aside from her acting prowess, which was my main issue, but one of the concerns was like, I mean, she just doesn't embody Wonder Woman. I mean, look at this. This is her back when Fast and Furious 6 came out. And I think a lot of people would look at that, and myself included. I mean, besides being absolutely stunningly gorgeous, obviously, but I mean, that's not an Amazonian warrior. That's not an Amazonian warrior. But you know what Gal Gadot did that has my eternal respect? Gal Gadot said, I'm going to bring my talent to it, whatever amount of talent she's got. I'm going to bring my talent to it, but I'm also going to give it my effort. Because if I'm going to be Wonder Woman, I'm going to get as close to embodying that character as I can. Gal, again, look at this picture. This girl was never going to be, a female bodybuilder, right? No matter what she did, she was never going to be some big monstrous female bodybuilder. But you know what she did say? She said, I may not be able to be a big monstrous female bodybuilder, but I'm going to give you my best effort. And you know what she did? She got in the gym and she worked her ass off. And she put in the sweat and she put in the effort. Why? Because she wanted to give the fans, when they saw her as Wonder Woman on screen. Again, look at the difference between these pictures. Look at the difference between these pictures again. And what has my eternal respect from Gal Gadot was like, you know what? When I get on screen, I may not be the perfect picture that you had in your head of Wonder Woman, but I'm going to give you my best effort to get to as close to that as I can, so I can be that manifestation of this iconic character for you, the audience, for you, my bosses at Warner Brothers, and for you, Wonder Woman, the character. I'm going to put in that effort. A great article was written about Alicia Vikander. Remember when she took over the role of Lara Croft for Tomb Raider? Listen to this. This is telling, and this speaks right into it. I'll get back to Robert Pattinson here in just a second, but this is important to tie into this whole situation. Alicia Vikander, and I'll read this off verbatim. Alicia Vikander was 117 pounds before preparations for Tomb Raider began, and she was already an Academy Award-winning actress who didn't require physical alterations to play the role in the mind of the producers. But listen to this. This is key. This is important. But to Vikander, 30 years old, I guess she was 30 at the time, but to Vikander, 30, in order to play Lara Croft and enter into that relationship with the audience, one has to look like she can do what Lara Croft can do, or at least get as close to that as possible for the role. She entered into a vigorous regime that saw her add 12 pounds of muscle in order to become the character, and more importantly, to her, to honor the fans of Lara Croft, anxious to see the hero manifested on screen for the first time since 2013. Let me read that one part again, because this is the mindset of a professional. This is the mindset of a pro who is committed to the character, committed to the studio, and committed to the fans. Listen to this again. To her, she entered into a vigorous regime that saw her add 12 pounds of muscle in order to become the character, and more importantly, to her, to honor the fans of Lara Croft, anxious to see her manifest on the screen, to see the character manifested on screen for the first time since 2003. Do you think Hugh Jackman, when you go back and read the interviews with Hugh Jackman, do you think Hugh Jackman had to work out 3 hours a day and take on that ridiculous meal plan that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson gave him? He looked fine in the first X-Men. Hugh Jackman looked perfectly fine in the first X-Men movie. And he could have stayed at that, maybe improved it a little. But when you read his interviews over the years, Hugh Jackman was fanatically committed to wanting to give to the audience as close to what the Wolverine in their imaginations would look like. Hugh Jackman was never going to be as physically large as Dwayne Johnson, Rob. He was never going to be as big as Dwayne Johnson. He just doesn't have that body frame. But what Hugh Jackman can do is, listen, I'm committed to this character and I'm committed to these guys. So what I'm going to do is my best. I'm just going to do my best. That's all it is. And Rob, when a studio hires you for millions of dollars, now I'm not saying he's not making Robert Downey Jr. money. I mean, let's not get carried away. He's not making Robert Downey Jr. money, but still, when a studio is paying you millions of dollars and hiring you nutritionists and hiring you trainers, and all they say to you is, hey, how about, while you're locked at home and not doing anything, think maybe you could lift some weights? Think maybe you could work out a little bit? No. I'm Robert Pattinson, asshole. I don't do that. Screw you. I don't have time for that. I can't be bothered with that. What the fuck else are you doing, you asshole? You're sitting at home during a pandemic where you're making mac and cheese. There's nothing else to do. This company's paying you millions of dollars, hired you professionals to help you, whatever. And nobody's expecting you to be a 250-pound bodybuilder. Nobody's expecting that. All we want is your commitment and effort. And Rob, what this says to me as a fan, is that he does not have the respect for the character. He does not have the respect for the company that is paying him millions of dollars. Rob, he's getting paid more money to do this movie than almost everybody watching this show is going to make in their entire lifetimes. He's making more money doing this one movie than most of us individuals either participating in the show or watching the show will ever make in their lifetimes. And all they are asking him to do is pick up a fucking dumbbell. Show some commitment, show some effort, honor the fans of the character, honor the studio that's paying you. Hell, honor the character itself. All we're asking for is your effort. And all working out is, Rob, is effort. You're never going to look like Hugh Jackman. But you know what? Give us the best version physically as the presence of Batman that you can. And Rob, let me go back to the one thing that Alicia Vikander also mentioned in that article again. I want to read this one part about the Alicia Vikander thing again. It says, the award-winning actress didn't need any physical alterations to play the role in the mind of the producers, but to Alicia Vikander, 30, in order to play Lara Croft and enter into that relationship with the audience, one has to look like she can do what Lara Croft can do. All any of us are asking, Robert Pattinson, is that just be the best version of you. That's all. Just give effort. And if you put in the weights and you put in the effort and you put in the sweat and you put in all that work like Gal Gadot put in for Wonder Woman because she wanted to honor the fans and respect the character, that Alicia Vikander put in because she wanted to respect the character and she wanted to respect the fans and honor the fans, all we're asking is that you try. That's it. Just put in the effort. Just put in the effort. And what this screams to me, Rob, some rich, privileged asshole who I feel like a giant asshole because I've been the biggest fucking cheerleader of this guy. I've been the one going, yay, Arbats is coming, guys. He's going to be great in this role. And he is going to be great. He's a great actor. I have no doubt his performance is going to be great. But it bothers me, Rob, when somebody has been given a role that tens of thousands of others would kill to play. When he's been given a job that is going to pay him millions of dollars, when he gets to be in a movie that millions upon millions and millions of fans are anxiously waiting to see the next incarnation of the Dark Knight on screen, and you can't be bothered to pick up a fucking dumbbell. It tells me you're not there. You're not there. You're not committed. You don't respect this character. You don't respect the fans. Again, some people are going to try to misquote me, Rob, and say that I'm saying that Batman has to be huge and chiseled. No, I just want Arbats to be the best version of him. And if the best version of him is 180 pounds, a solid 180 pounds, and he put in the effort, then that's honoring the studio, that's honoring the character, that's honoring us as fans. To sit at home, while his co-star, by the way, Zoe Kravitz, is wanting to honor the studio that hired her and is wanting to honor the fans that want to see Catwoman on screen and is honoring the character of Catwoman by working. There's nothing else she can do right now, Rob. So why not work out? Why not put in the effort? Why not put in the energy? And for Robert Pattinson to say, well, they're part of the problem. You know, James Dean never fucking played Batman. James Dean wasn't around in an era when we were bringing these mythological, larger-than-life titans to the big screen. And guess what? James Dean wasn't around when we as audiences come with a certain expectation of these larger-than-life meta-humans, these mega-humans, if you will. Robert Pattinson, or James Dean wasn't around during that time. Anyway, Rob, I'm clearly a little bit hot on this. I'm clearly just a little bit hot on this. But to me, when you refuse to put forward 100% effort, you disrespect the studios that are paying you, you disrespect the fans that are excited to see you, and you disrespect the character. All we want is effort. Rob, I ranted and raved about this long enough. Anyway, I apologize for that. But Your take on this whole situation. What do you think?
Well, I have a different take that I would like to offer you. Something that I got out of the interview that I thought was pretty interesting. He talks about the fact that he was watching the making of Batman and Robin.
Right, yes.
And he goes on and he talks a lot about that he was a little apprehensive about taking on the mantle of this character and what could he bring to it. He wanted to find what he called his way in, like what was the thing that he was going to bring to Batman that was different than what everybody else brought
Looking
to Batman.
For what's his angle on it. Yeah, it was really
what is
interesting.
his angle? And so, okay, I would say that he might not be look, he already did transform his body. And there's obviously maintenance that has to go into that. And he was admitting that, yes, I'm not working out as much as I should, or maybe not at all. But what he was doing is he's studying what other people have brought to the character. He's watching. I mean, if you're watching the making of Batman and Robin, you're diving deep into what's out there. He's doing the research and he's looking into how is he going to make this character his own? How is he going to make it unique? How is he not going to do Keaton? How is he not going to do Clooney or Kilmer, or Christian Bale or Ben Affleck? And when I was reading that, I found that really interesting to know that he was now diving into. He said he already figured out a way, but he's still doing research. Even in this lockdown mode, he's really, I mean, as far as I know, maybe he's going back and watching Adam West and Burt Ward episodes of the 66 Batman. I mean, I don't know, but I saw it as, while, look, taking a break from working out is a grueling, I watched Brandon Routh. I filmed Brandon Routh doing it on Superman Returns, and it was brutal. And that guy, Brandon, completely transformed himself on Superman Returns, and he did get huge. Like, his shoulders and arms were gigantic compared to the way they were when he first got the role. But so what I want to see is a character brought to life. And I think that Robert Pattinson, from an acting standpoint, is taking it seriously, and he is doing. I've never heard an actor talk about watching making of documentaries when they're in quarantine about other iterations of the character that you're playing, and wanting to find something that you. And he flat out says in that article, he says, I've discovered my way into this character. I know how I'm going to make this mine and make this unique. And from my perspective, I was like, that made me excited about what he's doing. I was like, that's really interesting. And it made me, I kind of had the opposite reaction that you had, because I wasn't focusing on the physicality of it. I was more focusing on, well, maybe the fact that having made making of documentaries, I'm like, it's pretty cool that actors are watching making of documentaries, but still, I felt like from an intellectual standpoint, he is doing the homework, and he is being contemplative about what he wants to bring to this character. And he is thinking about it and mulling over it and making sure that what he's doing is unique. And it made me think, okay, we're going to get something we haven't seen before as far as Batman is concerned. And I got kind of excited. That was my takeaway from the article, which is, again, it doesn't mean that your takeaway is wrong or anything. We just came at it from different perspectives. I got something different out of it, and I wasn't paying much attention to I thought that was kind of like, yeah, you're probably taking a break because it's probably pretty brutal. But I didn't think the guy was going to turn into the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man during quarantine either. I mean, that's not what I took away from it.
Yeah, I see. To me, Robert Pattinson, the issue with him was never going to be his acting ability, because you guys have heard me for months drone on and on and on about how good of an actor Robert Pattinson is. But, what you just described is exactly what Jared Leto did going into when he went into Suicide Squad. He looked at all the other Jokers. He tried to find his own expression of Joker and working with the Thing and all that kind of stuff. And great, but that's what an actor's supposed to do. It's, when Alicia Vikander was playing Croft, here's the thing. I think it's a fallacy to say it has to be one or the other. You can either try to give a good performance, or you can put in the work and effort on the other things that you're not used to doing. I don't think it's a true statement to say you've got to pick one. You can't do both. I disagree with that. Alicia Vikander is an Academy Award-winning actress. She knows what she's doing. She studies her roles. She converses with her director. She goes deep into what she's trying to bring on the screen, and she's got an Academy Award for it, and she's going to get others. But she still went, you know what? To be this character, I love the line that she says in that article. I need to at least do my best to look like, in a visual way, that I can do what Lara Croft is supposed to be able to do. And all it is effort. That's all it is. Listen, Robert Pattinson, he's just doing what he's comfortable with doing. Study for a role because he is a dynamic, fantastic actor. He's a fantastic actor. I've been saying that for months. But now you're walking into a role you've never had before. You're playing Batman now, buddy. You're playing Batman. So yeah, do what you always do. Yes, because that's why you got the role. But how about putting in some effort for the things you're not comfortable doing? How about when you're locked in at home and you got nothing else to do, and the studio, Rob, the studio is asking you to do it. You know, fuck you. I don't need to do that. I'm Robert Pattinson. I don't know. It bothers me, dude. It bothers me. Move outside your comfort zone.
But we saw pictures of him. I mean, he probably spent 6 months working out and getting in shape. It's not like he's going to let himself go and let all that work go away. He's
saying he's doing nothing now. He's saying that the trainer is pleading with him to do some stuff, and they're not even halfway through shooting this movie. Like, again, Rob, all I'm saying is, show me, in sports terminology, just hustle. All a coach wants to see when his players are out on the field or on the court or on the ice or whatever, show me you're hustling. Show me you're just doing your best with what you can. Robert Pattinson right now is stuck at home. He can't go out. He doesn't have any excuses. All he's got to do is commit 45 minutes a day, 45 minutes a day, half hour a day, to do what the studio is asking him to doing, that they're paying him millions of dollars for, to sit around on his ass, to do what his trainer is asking him to doing, and to stay committed to the role. That's all he's got to do. That's all he's got to do. I'm just saying, Rob, as somebody who adores Robert Pattinson as an actor, as somebody who has been so excited about him being cast as Batman, as somebody who has told and tried to convince other people, get on board with Robert Pattinson as Batman, because he's going to do a great job. And I believe his thespianism will be there no matter what. His acting ability is going to be there no matter what. But I just think it's a fallacy to think it has to be one or the other. Hugh Jackman proved it doesn't have to be one or the other. Brandon Routh proved it doesn't have to be one or the other. Gal Gadot proved it doesn't have to be one or the other. Alicia Vikander proved it doesn't have to be one or the other. And if working out during your downtime isn't beneath Hugh Jackman, if working out during your downtime isn't beneath Gal Gadot, if working out during your downtime isn't underneath Carrie Fisher, if working out during your downtime isn't underneath Alicia Vikander, then look at me in the face, Pattinson, and tell me why it's beneath you. Tell me why you can't be bothered to do it. And for him to say, you know, the actors are the problem, James Dean didn't do it, it shows me you don't understand one fucking thing about the modern movement of comic book movies and the mythology behind them and what these superhumans represent to us. Again, I'm not asking him to look like The Rock. I just want him to try. I just want him to put in the effort. That's all. Pick up a weight, lift a weight. You're being paid millions of dollars to do it. Do it. I don't know. But look, he's going to do, his performance is going to be great. His performance is going to be great.
He's going to look good too, dude. He's going to look good.
I don't know. Look, here's what I'll tell you, Rob. Here's what I'll tell you. He might look fine. He might look fine. But I'm going to tell you this. He is not going to look as good as he could look. That's it. He's not going to look as good. He'll look fine, but he's not going to look as good as he could have if he had just worked. And that's all I'm saying. And when you're given a character like Batman, no, I don't care, Rob. So you think Hugh Jackman, over his 20 years of playing Wolverine, went, I worked out for the last movie. I'm not going to do it anymore. He worked out like a madman for 20 years because he felt he owed it to the fans to do that. Robert Pattinson, okay, I put in a couple of months, I got a little tip, but now we're in quarantine. We're still not done shooting the movie, and I'm going to sit on the couch. And all I'm saying, Rob, is when you're given a character like Batman, when you're given a job by a studio like Warner Brothers and given a character that the fans love and adore and have a certain picture of, put in the extra effort. Get off your ass, lift some weights. If all the difference in the world is that you'll go from looking pretty good to looking even better than you would have, doesn't the character deserve that? Don't the fans deserve that little bit of extra effort? Doesn't the studio that's paying you millions of dollars deserve that little bit of extra effort? If the only difference between you looking pretty good in the role and looking even a little bit better is you putting in some extra hours and effort, don't you owe that to the character, to the studio, and to the fans? It's all it takes is effort. It doesn't take anything else, just effort and time. And he's got tons of both. But anyway, but you raise a good point. You do raise a good point. It's good to see, and it just speaks to the way Robert Pattinson is tuned in as an actor for his thespianism. The fact that he's doing what other Academy Award winners like a Jared Leto did or Alicia Vikander did, and that he wants to study, see what his angle on the character is. I'm sure he's working very closely with Matt Reeves on that. I have no doubt his performance is going to be great. To this day, I have no doubt his performance is going to be great. I just think when there's other people who will never have the opportunity that he has, for him not to do every little inch that he can to make this as great and physically the manifestation of a screen that is available to him to do, for him to not do that, I think is downright disrespectful to the character, to the fans, and to the studio that's paying him millions of dollars. But not everybody will see it that way, and that is the great thing about this. This is why I love having you on the show, Rob. You often have these different points of view than mine. That's why I love having you here. But listen, guys, I'm sure we all have different points of view on this. What do you think about all that? Again, to me, if Gal Gadot can do it, why can't you? But anyway, jump down into the comments section, and I'm sure there's going to be a wide range of opinions on this, a huge wide range of opinions on this, and that's the great things about talking about movies is that we are going to have all sorts of different opinions on it. So jump on down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys.